Hi, and welcome back to the Don't Be a Square Afghan Knitalong. This week we're going to be talking about square 20, which is called Be Mine, and the kind of highlight or feature of this square is the center panel, which involves a traditional lace pattern called honeybee lace. And just to avoid any confusion, we're going to go ahead and walk through rows 1 through 6 of that pattern repeat. So you can see here I've got a couple of repeats going already. I just cast on enough stitches for those center 12 stitches, and then I've got an edge stitch on each side here. So I'm just going to go ahead and walk you through rows 1 through 6. Row 1 starts out simple enough. We're going to knit 4, knit 2 together, yarn over, SSK, and knit to the end. And you'll notice that we went from having 12 center stitches to only 11, but it all works out. There are a lot of no stitch squares on that chart, which can seem a little confusing, but it all works out in the end. On the back side here, we're going to purl 3, and then what we're going to do is, I can't remember if we've covered this or not, but we're going to do it again just in case. It's called an SSP. It's going to produce on the right side what that SSK looked like. So we're going to slip 2 stitches knitwise to the right needle, slip them back to the left needle purlwise, and then we're going to purl them together through the back loop. And that continues that left leaning line there. And you'll notice sort of a new symbol on the chart. I'll be honest, I just kind of made it up. But what that stands for is drop any yarn overs made on the previous row. And I only made 1 on the previous row, so I'm going to go ahead and just take that off the needle. And the next thing is I yarn over 2 times, which is 1 more than the previous row. Purl 2 together, which will continue our right leaning line, and purl to the end. On row 3, we can just check our progress here. You can see those decreased lines starting to form in our yarn overs and dropped yarn overs. Row 3, I'm going to knit 2 together, drop my yarn overs from the previous row, yarn over 3 times, gonna SSK, and knit to the end. And then on the row 4 here, we're gonna kind of keep the pattern going by purling 1 fewer stitch. I'm only going to purl 1, SSP, I'm going to drop those yarn overs, yarn over 4 times now. Oops, I lost track. 1, 2, 3, 4. Purl 2 together and purl to the end. Now is where everything kind of all comes together. We have 4 rows where we've been decreasing and then making yarn overs and dropping them in the center there. Now we're going to tie it all in. So I'm going to do my final decreases here. So knit 2 together. I'm going to drop all 4 of those yarn overs. Now you'll notice a little symbol on the chart that kind of does that sort of thing. That means cast on 1 stitch with a backward loop cast on. And there are 4 of those, so I'm going to cast on 4. For many of us, this was the first cast on we ever learned. It was the first cast on I ever learned. And sometimes you can use it right in the middle of your work, just like this. So cast on 4 stitches like that. Now you'll see a little symbol that means to knit 1, yarn over, knit 1 into the same stitch, which in this case is working around all 4 of those strands that we dropped. So I'm going to insert my needle, I'm going to count down 1, 2, 3, 4. Under that 4th strand, knit 1, yarn over, go back in and knit 1, cast on 4 more stitches, do my final decrease over here, that's how we're looking. Got one more row to go. This one is probably pretty self-explanatory. We're basically just purling, except we did have 13 stitches in the center and we need to decrease back down to 12, which was our original stitch count. I'm just going to purl 2 of these center stitches together. Be a little tricky purling into the backward loop cast on, but not too bad. And there we have it. There are 3 repeats of honeybee lace. So thanks for joining us. Good luck, and be sure to join us early next year when we finish up the Afghan with seaming tips and edge options. Have a happy holiday.